Hi, I'm Paul Seal from codeshare.co.uk. This is part 2 in my live coding series where I'm taking a Bootstrap template and I'm putting it into Umbraco CMS to make it dynamically editable content. So you can log in on the back end, edit the content, and then you'll be able to see those changes on the front end, what the users of your website are going to see. So the first episode, I got the Bootstrap template. I showed you where to get some from for free. I downloaded it, the zip file. I set it up as a static site on my IIS to get it running, just to make sure that it looks nice and that it's what I want to use. From that, I then created an Umbraco project, installed Umbraco, set it up with the database, and I set up a basic template which just uses the index of this, the index HTML of this first page on this one that I've downloaded, this free Bootstrap one. So that was the first video. So if you haven't seen that yet, you probably might want to go back and watch that. Or if you're watching live, then feel free to watch this one and then look back at that one afterwards. I will also be putting these on YouTube, so if you are watching these on YouTube, then congratulations, I managed to put them on YouTube. So also during this I might be answering some questions if anybody asks any questions. I've got this panel on the right hand side. This is the chat window. When someone's watching me live, they might want to ask some questions about what I'm doing or give me pointers and what have you. Anyway, on this video, what I'm going to do is start dissecting the layout of the site, and just so that I can structure it with some calls to render certain sections of the site. I'm going to create a controller for the site layout. I'm going to create some partial views, and in the controller I'm going to have some actions where I say render main navigation or render footer and things like that. So I will start off with the footer and the main navigation first. So what I'm going to do now is umbraco.web.mvc. So I'm going to inherit from that. So I'm going to use that library so that now I can do I can inherit from Surface Controller, and that's what Umbraco uses. So now I can set up some actions. So I want to do a public action result. Is that right? Using system.web.mvc as well. There we go. So public action result, render header. And then for that I'm going to return a partial view. And I'll do it as views, partials. Is the font okay, Richard? Is it zoomed in enough? Can you see it all properly? Views, partials, and then this one's going to be header.cshtml. So I was talking about this earlier on whilst the audio was all messed up because I was playing the video whilst also recording it, so I do apologise. I'm doing a little bit different with the routing just because I want to organise my partial views with the Umbrico site, but in Umbrico it doesn't organise your views in folders. So I'm going to do views in the main views folder and then partial views in the separate folders, and they will relate to the controller name anyway. So if I just close that, so views partials, and I'm going to do site layout and then header. So because I'm doing that, I just need to create in the partial views folder, I'm going to do another folder called site layout. So now I can do a new partial view, and I'm going to call this header, and I'm going to do it as a partial view. Now later on I might give it a model and render it using the model, but for now I'm not going to give it a model. I'm just going to use the HTML that comes from where it's being used currently. So if we take this header here, paste it into this, and then back it over here, I'm just going to do HTML.render action, and the action that I'm going to render is render header, and that comes from the site layout controller. So if I do Control-Shift-B to do a build, we should see that now will call this method here, render header. It will get it from it will return a partial view, and it will find it from views, partial, site layout and header. So let's go back to the web, onto the site, and give it a refresh, and hopefully that should work, and I haven't broken it, fingers crossed. I am doing it live, so these things will go wrong, but let's see. It's taking a while to load. Right, so the header's still there. We've not lost the header, that's good. So I'm happy with that. And so now we can continue. Now one of the things that I am going to do, well, you'll see this in a minute. I'm going to do the footer. So there seem to be two footers here. We've got a whole footer div there, and then inside the footer we've got this extra bit. Is that just the paragraph? Oh, right, okay. That can all stay. So now I'm going to do the footer as well. So if I go to partial views, add view, footer, create as a partial view, add, go into here, scroll to the bottom, grab the footer, so it's all of this part here, cut that out and paste it in here. As I say, I'm not using a model yet, but I will do later. This is just helping me split everything out into separate partial views, and then I'll make it dynamic later on. Probably not in this video, but we'll see. So I've got that in there. I need to copy what I did at the top for the header and change it to be render footer. Just give a bit of spacing around that. So if I go to this bit here where I took the footer from, and I'll change this method to be render footer. So now you could probably guess I'm going to copy this and do render footer, and also change the view name to footer Oh, what I should be doing as well, because I'm using partials, I should actually have them starting with a leading underscore. That's the convention with the MVC stuff, so I'm just going to do that now. And also I'm going to go into the controller and make sure that I'm referencing it correctly. And the other thing to note here is that I'm pointing them to the same folder, and I will be doing that for all of the views that I render on this controller. So what I like to do is create a constant, well, it doesn't have to be public, let's just do private const string partial view folder. And that way I can use this constant lower down. So I can just paste that in there, and then I can just easily just add it to that there. So there are different ways to do that. You could do string.format on this bit here. You could use the $sign like this with a squiggly around it, and then one there. Like that perhaps, but I think it's simple just to do it like this. For this, it's so simple, it's just that string and that string together, job done. So I'm going to keep it in that way. So just get rid of these that I don't need, so I just need the actual partial name. Right, so just double check on the web base. Yeah, so I have got render footer calling from my site layout. I've got that method on there already, so it's going to tell it what to show. I've got my footer, so if I do another build, it will then know about this extra method. And if I go to the website part and I close this bit, I can refresh and should still see the footer, so hopefully we don't lose anything. So the whole point of this is that I'm just changing how things are done, but it looks exactly the same. So that's done, and that works exactly the same. So that there are two of these site layout pieces. Let's have a look for any more that are part of the site layout rather than the page that I'm on, or the template that I'm on. I think because it's quite a simple site, there's not really that much to do with the site layout. Let's just have a look around the site and see what sort of different features it's got, and so I can understand what type of things I need to create. Right. Okay, so it's got a contact form and a map. So I'll be doing that in future videos, showing you how you can create that contact form. If you do want to see how to do one of these in MVC or Umbraco, you can go to my site, codeshare.co.uk. I've already done some videos about creating these, so if you didn't want to wait for me to do it on this site, you can already go and have a look at that video. Right, let's just go to here. So I've done the header, I've done the footer. So I suppose the things that appeared on the home page then, so we have the services, and what are these? Are these just going off to, I don't know what these are actually. Usually get an idea. Alright, so this is featured. So let's do that then. So on the home page we've got a featured section. So I'm going to slice up the featured section and put that into a partial view of its own as well. So if I make sure I've got a home controller, so I'll create another class, call it home controller. Again, using system.web.mvc and using umbraco.web.mvc. So I can inherit from surface controller, and I can have some action results, render featured. Render featured section, that will do. So this is, I've put it on the home controller because it's not something I'm going to use site-wide. I'm only going to use it on the home part, and I'm going to get it to return a partial view, and the partial view name is going to be featured .cshtml. So it's quite simple at the moment. There's not really much dynamic editing or anything going on yet. Anyway, but that will come. So the way, because I'm doing it this way, I'm separating things out. That will give me jobs to do later, so I can work on separate parts of it and build up, so I can do this as a separate job. So I can come back to it later, and I can, right, today's task is to focus on the header. Loading in the navigation, all of the pages from the site structure, putting it into a model, and then rendering out that model into the navigation, things like that. Then I can work on the footer separate, and so on and so on. Same with this featured one. So I need to create a featured partial, and I want to have a home folder. So I'm going to do that now. So add a new view, featured. So going back to the web base that I had, here we go. We've got a featured section. So if I take that, cut it, paste it into here, go back here, and then I can say render featured section, and then I'm just going to change that to be home, because this is the name of the controller that I'm going to be calling that method on. So that's my featured home controller. Render featured section is the name of the method. Actually, just to be consistent with my namings, I'm not going to say section at the end, because the partial is called featured, and I did it with header, I did it with footer, so I'm going to try and keep consistent with my naming there. So I'm going to take section off there. So now that I've got those wired up, that should work. The only other thing that I haven't done yet is the partial view folder. So I need to go to site layout, copy this, go on the home controller, and then this needs to say home. And then I need to use that when I'm calling this. So I've just done a build, Control-Shift-B. Let's have a look. So in theory, these featured blocks should stay there. Hopefully we've not lost them. If I've lost them, I've done something wrong. But as you can see, I'm not doing many changes at a time. I just make a small change, test that it works. This clearly doesn't work. So we're going to have a look, see what the problem is here. Alright, so views partials home featured was not found. Okay, what have I done wrong? Have I spelt it wrong? Were you watching and knowing that I did it wrong? Were you desperate to tell me? I've got home, I've got partials, home, featured.cshtml. Just copy that, go in the home controller. So it's called home, featured. Oh, I know what I've done. I've not got the leading underscore, rookie mistake. So if I just change that, I bet some of you knew that already when you were watching it. So now I've got underscore featured. So if I go back to the error message, what was it saying? Yeah, it can't find underscore featured, and that was because the partial view was named featured and not underscore featured. So if I do another build just to be doubly sure, I don't think I've changed any of the files that get compiled, but at least I've done a build and now I can do a refresh and hope that it works. Some people don't like to show these sort of things because they want to look perfect, but when you're doing web development, you know, no one's perfect. These are the sort of things that you face. You get the yellow screen of death quite often, and it's good to be able to see how to overcome these. That was a really simple error. Probably should have noticed it, but at least you've got a chance to see it. Right, so that one's done. So it seems to be working. And we can move on to the services one as well. I might actually do one on the web base. We've got this intro section. It seems that this intro section appears on all of the pages, so this could be one again for, let's just have a look. We've got intro. Yeah, I think we can do an intro section for the site layout. So pretty straightforward. If I cut this up, I'll create my partial view again first. Inside site layout, check on the time, make sure I'm not going over. Right, so this one is going to be called intro. Yeah, I'll leave it as intro, that's alright. Paste it in there. Oh. Cut that out of there, paste it in there, go into here, copy this site layout one, tell it to render intro. Okay, so I'm done there. That's rendering intro, and then I need to go back onto site layout controller and I need to add another action result, and this one is going to be render intro, but I'm going to do it above the footer just because the intro shows above the footer anyway. I suppose it wasn't necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Is anybody watching? I've got one person in. Richard, oh, you're still there, Richard. Are you enjoying it? Are you learning anything? Are you bored, or have you just left your screen on? Anyway, render intro. So I'm calling render intro there. I've got site layout, got my intro. I've done exactly the same problem. I've not named it correctly. I will learn. So now I think I can just do a build and then I can just refresh again. So there is a lot of repetition on this to start out with. It's not, but I quite enjoy it actually, if I'm honest with you. Otherwise I probably wouldn't be doing the video. So come on, render intro. There it is. Intro's rendered. Lovely. We've got the services block, so let's do that one next. And just to point out to you, so you can see that this template is getting smaller now that we are putting everything into separate partial views, being called from separate actions. It does shorten it down. So alright, we've got a blog one to do, we've got a client one to do, and we've got a services one to do. So let's get cracking with that. I think, so this one is going to be services. Oh yeah, I can just call it render services. And it's going to be within the context of the home folder anyway, so that's fine. And the home controller. So I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to create the folder within home. I'm going to add a partial view. I'm going to remember the underscore and it's going to be services. Don't need to put .cshtml, it does that for you. And then on the home controller I'm going to add another one of these, so I'll just copy it from the featured one, call it services, delete the extra D. Right, that one was quicker. Just make sure that I'm actually calling it, and I'm not. So render services. Okay. Give that a refresh. So this should stay on the page if I've done it correctly, and I shouldn't get a yellow screen of death. And I'll be able to move on to the next one. The reason why I check between each one and not at the end is just because then I know the changes that I made between when I last checked it and when I'm doing it now, so I can know that what's broken it, rather than making too many changes and then I'm not sure which one of these changes was the culprit. So that's worked, that's still there. So let's do the blog as well. So we've got the blog section now. So it's getting quicker, this process. I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to create a blog partial. Remember the underscore. Paste that in there. Go back to, where's it gone? Web base. Oop. There we are. Go back to there. And I'm going to call render blog. So I need to make sure that I've got the action on the home controller called render blog. Render blog. Change that to blog, and that's that. Well, that's not very helpful or informational, is it? That's that, but it's just what we say. Give it a refresh. Richard didn't reply. I don't think he's watching anymore. Oh yeah, here he is. How long do you think it would take to learn enough ASP.NET to create simple CRUD applications? Is it like ROR, where it take a few days? What's ROR? Let me type it just in case you can't hear me. What is ROR? This is probably me being thick. Ruby on Rails. Oh, I've not done that. I've not done Ruby. I believe Ruby on Rails is dynamic, I think. Is it dynamic language? .NET is strongly typed. It's really enjoyable, good to work with. I've got another project that I'm doing, and that is an online wish list. You can look back at some of my videos for that. I don't think so it could take a few days. Yeah, you could probably do it in a few days. Fairly easy to follow along. The way I would do a CRUD application if I was doing it starting out in .NET, depends if I could get my head around LINQ or not, but the way I do CRUD applications at the minute is I use LINQ to SQL. So I have a database, SQL Server. You can use SQL Server Express, which is free. I've got my web application, ASP.NET MVC, and then I use LINQ to SQL, or you could use Entity Framework. So they're object relational mappers, and that does all the writing and saving and things like that. You have to write some methods to do it, but it does the interaction with the database for you. So I might even do some videos on it, but you could find loads of videos. If you go to codeshare.co.uk/Pluralsight, you'll be able to get a free trial of Pluralsight, and that will let you, I think you can get like a 10-day free trial, and you can get some good videos on there which show you how to do CRUD applications in ASP.NET, and these are like proper professional videos. So yeah, codeshare.co.uk/Pluralsight will take you to that. So it's worth doing that, getting that free trial. Anyway, let's get back on with this. So the blog loaded up nicely. Oh, I'm refreshing the wrong thing. So blog's loaded, so we can go down to the clients part. Now, I might not use all of these things on the site that I'm building for my mother-in-law. She might not want to have services and clients and blogs. She might not even want a blog at all. She might just want to use it for her portfolio, but because I'm taking this Bootstrap template, I want to make all of these things available if I want to use them later. So that's why I'm doing it, and also I've got something to do on these recordings. So I've got about 10 minutes left on this. So I've done render blog. Right, so clients. Okay, ZMY has joined the room. Hello. So now we're going to do the client section. So I'm going to copy it out again, cut that, create a new folder. Sorry, not a folder, a new view. Call it _clients. Paste it in there, and then I've got that. So now I can go back to my web base, call another one of the home actions, and this will be called clients, so render clients. I need to go to the home controller and add another controller action result on there. So this will be render clients, and that's _clients. I think I've done that correctly first time. No errors, no yellow screens of death. Just going to refresh it and it's just going to work. No worries. Come on, let's see if it works. First time. It's not exactly complicated. I've done it that many times on this video now. But let's have a look. I can always fail more than once. Come on. Yep, works a treat. So now on that template, if we go back to web base, you will see that there's no markup as such, apart from the outer page markup, but there's no markup in there. Now if we look at this, you'll see that we've got, if we ignore render body for now, if I cut that out, so we've got the header, the intro, the featured, the services, the blog, clients and footer. Have a look again on here, header, intro, featured, services, blog, clients and footer. Now if we look at these here, so we can see that the controller name is the same on those and also on these. And then after it you've got the site layout again. So what I'm going to do is put render body in between the site layout things. I'm going to take away the home ones, and because I'm working on the web base, which is the master template, I'm going to leave those on there. So I want these to be on every page, but the ones that are relevant just to the home template, I've cut them out and I'm going to paste them on here. So we shall see that it will still look exactly the same, but it just means that only the pages that inherit from the master template, they'll use those site layout ones, and the home page will be the only one that will use these ones here. So if I go back to this and give it a refresh, it's worked. It didn't have any complaints about it. I mean, I could just be refreshing on a static page here, so it's not really showing anything different. So let's try, just to show you something, I'm going to take off the blog. So if I do Control KC, I think it is. That's going to comment out the blog section. So if I refresh this now, you can see it's skipped out the blog section and it's just gone straight down to happy clients. I could also put the blog above services. I'm going to cut that, paste it in above services, Control KU to uncomment it. So now where I've got featured, I'm going to have blog. Yeah, then I'm going to have services, and then I'm going to have happy clients. But I don't want that in the same order that I've just done there, because I quite like the order with the styling of this green block. It breaks up the page quite well. So I've got featured, that. Anyway, I'm just rambling on now, sorry about that. So that's done the home page. So that makes the home page different to any other pages that are using the master template as well. I think it's probably a good point to end on that. Has anybody got any questions, ZMY or Richard, before I go? If you do want to check out my website, it's codeshare.co.uk. I do talk about .NET, MVC, Umbraco. There's a little bit of JavaScript on there. If you want to see any of my open source work, codeshare.co.uk/GitHub. I just released an open source package today. It's gone onto NuGet as well. That's for doing Slackbot messaging. Yeah, so I'm probably going to leave it at that actually. I'm quite happy with the progress there. So now I've got a much simpler web base. And we can tackle these sort of things and take these out and put them in different sections to make it even smaller and neater on the master template as well. Right, okay, no one's got any questions, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and if you're watching on YouTube, if you enjoyed the video, please click on like, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment if you have any comments or have any questions about anything that I did on this one. And look out for the next one coming up as well. And I don't know how long the series is going to be. I'll just keep going until the project's finished, and then when it is finished, you'll be able to see it at FionaWhitfieldArt.com, and my mother-in-law will be able to put her portfolio up on there. But she is okay with me broadcasting all this while I'm building it for her. She's not paying me. This is just like I get to do these videos, and she gets a website out of it in the end. So it's all good. Favour for a favour. Right, thanks for watching. See you later.